Hello, welcome back, you wonderful viewers. I am your host, Blue Dragon of Blue Dragon Games, and today, for the first time ever on this channel, we are playing Star Wars Battlefront 2, the original one from 2005, the early 2000s. We figure out, can you beat the campaign of Star Wars Battlefront 2 as Jango Fett? The rules of this run are incredibly simple. Using a mod developed by the amazing Star Wars Battlefront 2 speedrunning community, I have set the game so that all ground missions of the campaign are playable as Jango Fett, as the default class for the player. The mod does not work on space missions, so unfortunately those all are skipped. And additionally, I had to make a brand new profile that does not have any bonuses already unlocked. So it's a completely fresh profile. For the sake of fairness. And other than that, those are all the rules. There's no restriction against using vehicles, as you just saw. And unfortunately, I didn't realize this at the time, but there is no in-game sound. Sorry about that. I set my OBS to not pick up gameplay sounds because of a challenge run that I ultimately scrapped that would have been utterly massive. And due to using speed up in it, in-game sounds wouldn't have been pleasant anyway. But it's a shame I had to cut it out. I forgot to bring it back. Just the blaster noises in this game are fantastic. And this mission, amongst the ruins, is an excellent way of demonstrating just how the challenge works. It's pretty much regular gameplay, except I'm an objectively stronger jet trooper the entire game. So for a lot of it, it's not necessarily going to be all that much of a challenge, really. It's so challenging being Jango Fett. Not like he isn't one of the best heroes in the game. There isn't a whole lot more to say about Amongst the Ruins specifically. It's the first level of the campaign, and it is very easy to do, even on a bad day. I will be going through all the levels of the campaign, at least those that don't take place in space, for completeness sake. And now, we enter the Heart of Darkness. This level is actually why I realized you couldn't do this challenge with, say, Count Dooku or Darth Sidious. Because as it turns out, Acklay are immune to Force Lightning, and Lightning, and Force Choke. The only Force power they aren't immune to is Saber Throw. I imagine the game considers them to be vehicles, as you see me trying to kill them with a flamethrower, and it doesn't work. So if you see me not doing this challenge with, say, the Emperor or Count Dooku, it's not that I don't want to. It's that I've already tried and you can't. You need to have a gun. Sorry if I sound off this video. I am not recording it in the best condition. But this is the first opportunity I've had to record the audio since I finished recording the gameplay. Here I go to a secret command post that the droids have on during this mission, because the ATTE cannot be destroyed during this timed segment. So there's no need to actually defend it, like the game tells you to. This is very unique for a defense objective, because it is the only one in the game you cannot lose, to my knowledge. And of course, Jango absolutely shreds through basic infantry. But you've already seen that in amongst the ruins. The only reason Heart of Darkness took longer than Amongst the Ruins is because of this time segment. I'm going to include chapters, but the total time for the level, including bits of load time that I cut out, is less than 6 minutes. I tried getting a head start on the final objective, but I ultimately don't really stick to it at all that hard. Like, I destroyed 2, and then I to grab the engine component and run back to the damaged ATTE. And hopefully not too fast. As you can see, the undamaged ATTE has loaded. If you are too fast in that segment, you can actually have the undamaged ATTE remain in the map instead of the regular ATTE, which makes this section much harder. Due to the Acklay and the turrets not taking as much damage from your weapons as they do from the ATTE. While Jango is by far faster, the ATTE packs much more of a punch. And is honestly the preferable option. This is part of why I didn't ban vehicles. And now we'll move on to a line in the sand. This was the longest level in the entire game. And this beach defense section is a good indicator as to why. It is the one mission with multiple, several minute-long defense sections. This took me longer than any mission in the game, including missions that had timed sections. It's not that this mission is hard, it's just that it's incredibly long. Like, as Jango Fett, I'm basically a god. I am an airborne god of death. Death to all clankers. And even when I die, it doesn't matter, because I can just jetpack back to the front incredibly quickly. And though my health bar doesn't show it, I still have all the health of a hero and not a normal unit. Which is why I'm able to take so much damage. Is because I just straight up have a hero's health bar. It just looks like a regular unit's health bar. Or because it's not draining. This section, this last minute or so of the defense, was one of the two hardest spots of the level, because my reinforcements were being depleted. As you can see, there's not too many left, though the video doesn't make it super clear just how many. It was less than 20. But I pulled through. And now it's time to fall back to the oil rig, the oil refinery, for another mandatory multi-minute long defense segment. Did I mention this is the longest level in the game, and not because it's the hardest level in the game? Operation Nightfall is the hardest level in the game. This mission just has 7 continuous minutes of defense. Maybe even 8. I didn't recheck the beachhead defense timer, but that's either 3 or 4 minutes. But the objective is clear: defend the oil refinery. And if you've made it this far through the video, it's only about 1/10 of the way through, admittedly. A little more than that. Consider liking and subscribing. And comment if you want to see more Battlefront 2. It is one of my favorite shooters of all time. And just one of my favorite video games of all time in general. I would love to do more challenge runs for the channel. And it would help add some variety. Which is the spice of life, as they say. And not the Star Wars kind. We aren't doing space heroin here. And apologies again for any sniffling. Again, I am recording this while not feeling the best. But I will try my best to keep it going. We are halfway through the defense so far. We have just passed the 2-minute mark. And at this point, I just want this level to be over, and there is still so much of it left. This level is just so much level. I love this game, and this level is fun to play, not to commentate. Even with my more free-form style of post-commentary, this is a task. Because I've said pretty much all there is to say about the defense of the oil refinery. Use the tank until it's low, get out, heal yourself, and then get back into the fray without it. The hard part is almost over. This is made objectively easier by the fact that I'm Jango Fett, I admit. Playing Jango is actually a little bit unfair. And I decided to use a stab for a little while because I like the stab. Like, design-wise, like, it's so goofy, I love it. I love my goofy Star Wars vehicles. And now, the hardest part of the mission. Retaking all 4 other command posts on the map. This part is pain. Because the AI teammates are not very good at helping with this part. And it is very easy to die. Normally, the smart option would be to try to backcap the last command post, the one where the enemy vehicles spawn, because doing it successfully, he makes it so that it's easier to capture all the other command posts. But I decided to go at it in the way the game intends you to do it, which is starting at the oil refinery and then moving outwards. Though I do believe I do go for the invasion vehicle command post. What's next? Sorry, it has been a while since I've recorded the gameplay. But, okay, yeah. I do go for the enemy's vehicle spawns. This is important because I should have done this command post first, because doing it first, as I said, makes all the other command posts much easier, because it means the enemies don't have vehicles anymore. It is also just probably my favorite command post on the map. It's weird that I have a favorite command post. I don't care if it is, but I am curious. Like, I don't care if you want to call me weird for it. I'm just curious. Because it is my favorite command post on the map. It's open, and yet the rocks provide a nice amount of cover. Like, it's a nice balance between wide open and having enough cover for more tactical gameplay and combat. And here is, I do believe, my first death of the level. If not the entire run. And so I spawn on the beachhead and just make my way over to the command post. It is not the easiest, because my aim is with a precision pistol is not the best. despite it being one of my favorite weapons to use in the game. But with that droid down, Line in the Sand is done. And we can finally move on to Underground Ambush. Which starts with us having only 15 reinforcements and having to take a command post. Thankfully, the command post is pretty easy to take, even in normal gameplay, so as Jango Fett, it's a piece of cake. And the game awards us with 15 more reinforcements. And, using Jango's jetpack, it is very easy to get to the second command post quickly. Which is good, because while this isn't necessarily a speed run, being fast and at least relatively efficient makes these levels a lot easier, because you were always at a reinforcement disadvantage compared to the enemy. Especially when it now comes to taking Hangar 5. Hangar 5 might just be my least favorite command post in the game. Because it is just so utterly open. That actually trying to take it is an absolute chore. I don't think any other individual command post has as many challenges in taking it as this one. But the fact that there is a medical droid right above the command post is pretty convenient, honestly. I can appreciate that part. And now it's time for the only hard part of the level. Well, other than taking the command post. Killing General Grievous. Because he can deflect wrist rockets. And I'm already not too accurate with wrist rockets. So, I bait him into doing jumps and use my flamethrower for a bit of extra damage. And now we move on to the final objective. Well, second to last. I honestly forgot about the AA guns. That's my bad. I die once, but that's not too big of a deal because it resets my health. And the turret takes 2 time bombs to destroy, which isn't too terrible all in all. It's one more than I'd like it to take, but, like, it's not bad. And now we're on to the final objective. Destroying the tower that just spawned in. Which will be predominantly performed via means of time bombs. Mostly because I didn't want to just use a tank or a walker like I typically would in a regular playthrough of this mission. I could have, but I didn't want to. And so I decided to go for wrist rocket spam. For some reason. I don't know why I did that. For the brief period I did. But it works. And I finished by just gunning it down with a pistol. And that is Underground Amp. And now we move to Operation Nightfall. This is the single hardest mission in the entire game. But it's not the longest. Partially because Jango is just a god of movement. And having a hero-level health pool for the entire mission means I can afford to make more mistakes than you typically could against the Jedi. Which is very good. As you can see from me not learning my lesson from Grievous and shooting a blocking lightsaber wielder with a wrist rocket. And getting it deflected right back in my face. This was actually where I had to quit my third ever attempt at using the mod as a Tusken Raider, because the Tusken Raider was just not capable of dealing damage fast enough to kill the Jedi Masters at the end of the mission. And here is the hardest part of the mission, defending the bookcases. Thank goodness it's only 2 minutes. But it is the most stressful 2 minutes in the entire game. Mostly because I don't actually know when the attack waves spawn. So I don't have any reprieve. And because the bookcases are much weaker than they're supposed to be due to a programming error that gives them much lower health. Also, fun little behind the scenes fact, this is the second recording for audio for this video. Same general session, but I broke up that recording into multiple pieces. Mostly because I had to run my ass to the bathroom to blow my nose, because that's where we keep the tissues in this house. And apply a generous amount of Vicks to my chest. Just to help clear my fucking nose. I was so stuffed up I was actually having a bit of trouble breathing there at the end of Underground Ambush. Good news, though. The library is over. None of these missions... this mission did not require a second attempt. A bit of a spoiler to say that, but... let me revel in my victory here. Especially killing multiple Jedi with a time bomb. That was objectively funny. Because the Jedi, for whatever reason, cannot leave that room. And with the first holocron, it is now time to go around the edge of the map. And to the part of the mission where you'd normally be able to play as Anakin. But the mod completely disables hero selection, interestingly enough. Which you might have noticed in Heart of Darkness, when I didn't get the option to play as Aayla Secura. Obviously, by the rules of the challenge, I'd have had to say no anyway, but it is curious that the mod does that. Gun down a Jedi in cold blood. Start figuring out how to better aim wrist rockets against lightsaber-wielding space wizards, and run back to the dropship with the second holocron. And now it's time to kill the 3 Jedi Masters. They all have innate regeneration, which is why I said a Tusken Raider cannot actually kill them. You require a good amount of burst damage to take them down. And either enough damage or enough ability to sustain that damage to keep them from just healing through it. But that saber throw cements Nightfall as a victory. And now we move on to Imperial Diplomacy, the shortest mission in the game. Second shortest, actually. I just saw the time codes for recovering the plans, which was a whole minute, which is a whole half a minute shorter. If you hear chickens in the background, yes you did. They're all natural pest control. If very loud and obnoxious sometimes. But, hey, we're officially about halfway through the video. So hopefully you're enjoying it so far, if you made it this far, or I'm just your background noise, in which case, interesting choice. But I approve. I use challenge runs as background noise a lot of the time, while recording my own runs even. Well, it's just pretty fun. Pretty fun choice of background noise, and I wholeheartedly approve of that. So that's what you're using this video for. just a gentle reminder for everyone, make sure you have something to drink. Especially now, if you're in the northern hemisphere, it's summer. I know my state of Michigan has just come off a pretty nasty heat wave as I'm recording this. And it's entirely possible for another heat wave to hit by the time this actually comes out, closer to the end of the month. So, make sure you have plenty to drink, plenty that's actually hydrating. Make sure you have a way to cool off. Take care of yourself, okay? Just because I'm not going to go all parasocial on you, doesn't mean I want you hurting yourselves by pushing it. Heat can be deadly. We're on these almost done with the second to last objective on the mission. And now, it is the only timed section of Imperial diplomacy, killing the Queen of Naboo. Just treat her and her guards like the ATF treat someone who refuses to sell them a short-barrel rifle. And now, tying up loose ends. Which, fun fact, if you went by the movies, this would take place shortly before Anakin and Obi-Wan's duel on Mustafar. Which makes it interesting that the clones have officially been replaced with stormtroopers for 2 missions now at this point. And I wish cross-era battles were in Galactic Conquest and Instant Action. Imagine a droid attack on Endor. An Imperial attack on Geonosis. Like, that would be really cool. Like, I get partially why that might be an issue. Clone troopers and stormtroopers naturally look very similar in universe because the stormtrooper armor was designed modeled off the clone armor, and out of universe because clone armor was designed based off stormtrooper armor. But, fun fact, this Star Wars Battlefront 2, this one, the one I call the good one, I just don't like EA, personally. I haven't actually played the EA one, but apparently it's actually pretty good. I just refuse to actively give EA my money for things. Anyway, this game was developed during the production of Revenge of the Sith. Which is why the clone troopers look like that. With the clone commander looking like the Magito. Like the clones on, I believe it was Magito. And the clone engineer looking like a clone commander who was cut from the movies. Which is a shame, he looked pretty cool. And he was actually the commander for the clones that the clone commander her unit are based off of. I wish we had gotten Star Wars Battlefront 3 from Pandemic. I think it's Pandemic. I wish we could have gotten their Battlefront 3. I bet it would have been awesome. But one of the things they had planned was ground-to-space combat. That is objectively cool as hell. Yell a little bit, and run towards the next objective. I'm not talking about the level too much, because there really isn't too much to say. It's not a super difficult level for this section. It will get hard very soon, though, because about to spawn in is the only wholly original character for the game that actually has a name. Glizor Delso, a unique Geonosian with an infinite ammo version of the Bulldog rocket launcher used by the Magna Guards. Who is very broken. And now we move to changing of the guard. Only 5 missions left after this one. And it's another cross-era battle. Empire vs. Clones. Honestly, I wish we got more of this. Because this is so cool. And it's kind of darkly hilarious that the clone's dad is now giving out post-birth abortions to a bunch of clone troopers. Though, in the game's canon, these clone troopers aren't made off of the Jango DNA. I know, they are, it's that clone troopers that it's that stormtroopers cloned later weren't made from Jango. And yes, the game has stormtroopers as clones. Which is a really interesting bit of, like, extended universe quasi-canon. That doesn't necessarily make sense with the context of the original trilogy in mind, but could serve as an interesting midpoint between a human volunteer army, like the Imperial military he seems to be, and a cloned slave army like the Grand Army of the Republic. And yes, as much as we love the clones, they are child slave soldiers. They're shipped out to war at the age of 10. And, they're property. The Republic fought their war with child slaves. Which, not the first time the Republic does fucked up shit. They have a history of doing that. But it is the least subtle one in canon that's still fully, unambiguously canon. And now it's on the time section of this mission, destroying the 2 transports. Which I'm going to start with the grounded one, because I can destroy that with time bombs. And it's good to just get it out of the way if I'm using time bombs to do it. And it only takes 1, which is either a case of the mod making some objectives easier, which is an automatic thing with the mod, that some choices will make some objectives easier to do, or it could just be that the dropships are not as strong as they are necessarily supposed to be by default. I'm not sure. All I actively changed was being able to play as Jango. And now we're on to Prison Break. The only time you get to play on the Death Star outside of instant action. I wish you could, do stuff with the Death Star in Galactic Conquest. Partially because I just love Galactic Conquest in general, and partially because the original Star Wars Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront, the Empire and the Confederacy could actually do stuff to a single enemy planet. The Confederacy could blockade it, and the Empire could destroy it with the Death Star. And that was just objectively so cool. I used to play these games a lot with my older brother as a kid. So I have a lot of experience, especially in Battlefront 2, and especially being bad at Battlefront 2. But again, I don't think most kids are very good at shooters. Especially when there's actually a unique bug in the PC version of Battlefront 2 specifically, that shots do not actually properly line up with the reticle. With many weapons, in third person specifically. Mostly due to the game's native resolution and the resolution available on the PC being very different, and the game not being designed for modern resolution settings. But the defense section is done. And now it's time for offense. Take a command post, then gun down a guy. I'm a dog, he's a dog and I'm an ATF agent. and then sprint back to the command post. Like I'm said ATF agent hiding from the dog's owner, naturally opening fire on the fucker who just shot his dog. Hard for the crime of barking at the unknown hiding intruder in the bushes. I should avoid getting too heated. My throat's still a bit sore. Ugh. This command post specifically is the hardest part of Prison Break. Just because it's so wide open, so there's not a whole lot of places to take cover. But there's lots of places for enemies to shoot you from. And now we're on to the final two sections. Destroying the enemy transport before it can leave, and then killing the Jedi ringleader. Which I think is in reference to Vader killing Obi-Wan. Though obviously it's not exact, because this takes place before Episode 4, like the destruction of the Death Star. And Luke even being on board. And with that, just gotta kill a Jedi. Which we've already done plenty of. Not like it's hard. Funny ragdoll is funny ragdoll. The birth of the rebellion. Polis Massa is stressful. The incredibly tight corridors lead to a lot of grenade spam. And this is one of my least favorite maps to play in general. Because of those tight corridors. Lots of enemies, not a whole lot of space to maneuver. Is not really that fun of a combo for me. Luckily, Jango Fett is the undisputed god of death of the Star Wars universe, as this run has shown. Oh, plenty of times already. So soloing the entire command post is not that big of an issue. And now it's on to a forced defense segment. Oh, not quite. I guess that's later. Like I said, it's been a while since I was actually doing the challenge. And there's still 24 minutes left. You know, if you're on mobile, this would be a perfect time to hype the video. It really does help. I'm just mildly annoyed that I can only hype 3 videos a week. I want to hit the hype button more. Like, I just want to hit it more. I want to help out channels I like watching by hitting it more. Here's the forced defense section. It's not the hardest because you have the natural cover. But having to defend on 3 fronts at the same time isn't easy, and if the game could handle more units, this would actually be really hard. Instead of just moderately difficult. Like it actually is. Not making it through. I am definitely making it through. No matter how much of a pain the level is. As I'm recording this on the 5th, this question is actually topical. For when I'm recording it, anyway. How did you enjoy your 4th, for the Americans in the audience? I stayed inside most of the day. Even though we had just come off a heat wave, it was still in the 80s. I did see some of the fireworks my neighbors were shooting off in the middle of the night, though. They were very loud. Extremely loud, actually. Which, I love fireworks, so I'm not necessarily complaining about. But they kept getting louder and larger, and it was very impressive. But also, again, really loud, and I am glad that the other neighbors whose animals are used to the giant bright explosions in the sky at 10 at night at this point. Because I, for one, would not want to have to help someone catch their horses in the middle of the night. Or even just try to spot them. That just sounds awful. I've already had to try that with a cow once. That cow got out so bad they had to shoot it from a fucking helicopter. Side tangent aside for the moment. This is my favorite strategy for this part, like for this level. Using the tank to sneak to the last command post directly. And completely bypassing all of the level between the 2 points. I love it, and arguably, it's how you're intended to do the level, because otherwise, they wouldn't have put the hangars there. Recovering the plans, the shortest mission in the game. And one that I'm going to have a lot of fun with if I do a challenge with Vader. Which I know isn't necessarily actually going to be a challenge. I'll have Saber throw or the Acklay, because that damages vehicles, and Vader has the strongest standard lightsaber attack in the game, compared to the Emperor, who has the weakest. But it would still be fun. Not all of these runs have to be an advanced exploration of my masochism. I am allowed to do a challenge run just because it's fun, and not because it causes me physical pain. And runs like this remind me of that sometimes. As is the fact I deleted a already fully recorded run, because that was actually only a seventh of what would have been an entire, well over 2 hour long video that I was not having fun with. There isn't a reason to do this if I'm not having fun doing it. I challenge run not because it's difficult, but because it's fun. I like fun. Also, I recommend challenge running. It's really easy to just have fun with it. Find a game you like, put a dumb stipulation, and just go for it. Yeah, play Pokemon with only a single type of Pokemon. Go to the Star Wars Battlefront 2 speedrunning Discord and download the mod. And play through campaign as Jango or Boba or something. You're on to Revenge of the Empire. The second to last level in the entire game. Yeah, but again, give challenge running a try if you haven't. It could be a lot of fun. You don't have to do the super hardcore, hard mode masochism plus challenges. If you really don't want to. Don't get the don't let the super hard challenges scare you from trying. Think something easier. The ultimate goal, as with any type of playing a game, is having fun. Because your challenge only needs to be a challenge by technicality to be a challenge run. And that is perfectly fine. Even if your challenge is just playing a game on a harder difficulty than normal. Nothing wrong with that. It's good to get better at something. It's good to have a bit of a challenge that you can manage. It's part of why I'm not going to do a challenge of the campaign with any character I know it's outright impossible to beat it with on a technical gameplay level. Because that's not fun. It's not fun for me. And really, that's the first person I'm trying to make have fun with these. Because if I'm not having fun making the run, how can I expect you guys to have fun watching it? Like, I know there's some audiences that like seeing the people they watch suffer, but there is an amount of pain that stops being fun. And, at least in my opinion, it stops being fun to watch when the pain gets too much, too. Like, if you think otherwise, that's perfectly fine. I'm not going to stop you. I physically cannot stop you. But that's an agreement we're just going to have. And that's fine. We are all, presumably, mature enough to handle a difference in opinion between ourselves and others. Especially when that difference is just a preference in content we watch for entertainment. Like, I don't get the appeal of ASMR, but like, I'm not going to be a dick about people who like ASMR. It's just not for me. And that's fine. You know, there's something I do find kind of funny. It is actually easier to record Battlefront 2 footage than it is the DS release of Chaotic Shadow Warriors. A Nintendo 3DS TV show tie-in game is harder on my system to record than this. Our finest hour has arrived. The final mission of the game. And to preempt some copyright issues, I have cut out all the in-mission cutscenes, because those are just straight up clips from the movie. Like, they're straight up video footage from Empire Strikes Back. This entire mission is one big timed segment. I say jokingly, because it's a 21-minute timer. This is also the mission in which I'm pretty sure I died the most. Which, with so many big open spaces, is understandable. This is honestly one of my favorite missions in the game. Oh, and for anyone who has played this game before and is asking themselves why I didn't include the tutorial on Geonosis, it's because the mod doesn't work with the tutorial level. Just like the space levels. It just doesn't work with them, so I'm not playing through it because I can't play through it for the mod. With the mod. Like, it would just be a normal playthrough of that level. And it's not actually part of the campaign. So, you don't need to play through it either. Just like you can actually totally skip all the space levels by default. Which is kind of a shame. I really like the space levels. I actually like doing space battles in this game. As weird as that no doubt is for some people to consider. I like the space battles. Mostly because I bomb the enemy frigates and then just board their ship. Like a baller. But the shield generators are almost down. There are only a few more minutes left of the run after this. With those last shots, I jump out of the AT-AT because it is faster to go on foot. Because I'm not going directly to Echo Base. Or maybe I am. Again, it's been a while since I recorded the gameplay. So I am reacting to it as much as I am remembering what happened. Normally, in Galactic Conquest, if I was playing Empire on Hoth, I'd go for the bunker and then Echo Base through the bunker. I decided to go for Echo Base directly here. And I don't remember why. But this is the most tense section of the entire game right here. Teetering on at the absolute edge of death. Being right at the cusp of dying through that firefight right in the hangar. Now I have to destroy the ray shield generator. Which isn't hard. I have time bombs for that. And I can get close to where the ray shield was by the time it drops. And this was also a very tense time in the level. As you can see from how low my health is right now. And the fact the health pickups are not as powerful with heroes, seemingly, because they have so much more health. Now I gotta pick up the targeting beacon. And hand deliver it and defend it. You know, I can't even tell where I cut the footage. It's to cut out the cutscenes. I did a damn good job at that. And it's the last defense section of the entire game. This late into the video, yeah, I can confidently say, yes, you can beat Star Wars Battlefront 2's campaign as Jango Fett. If you've made it this far into the video, please consider liking, subscribing, commenting, hyping the video on mobile. I know I've already said it, and it's annoying to hear it. I don't like hearing it either, but it does help the channel. And in the description is a link to my Patreon. It is $5 a month. It is completely optional. I'm not going to demand that you pay for a bunch of extra content. It's just there if you want to help me out. And help me eventually upgrade tech, hardware, and software and all that. I have been your host, Blue Dragon of Blue Dragon Games. Thanks for watching, and you have a wonderful rest of your day.